It's like I don't care about nothing, man. Yeah. Oh,
So this one is going to go over pages 29 and 30. The problems that I'm showing you are going to deal with perpendicular. So make sure you remember with the slopes that they have to do the opposite and reciprocal
Doc, none of us can remember anything from last night. Remember?
when you create your equations. Okay, so the next problem we're looking at is number 8 on page 29. This one says in rectangle EFGH, EF is perpendicular to FG, and EF contains the point 0, -4. If the equation of the line containing FG is 2x plus 6y equals 9, write the equation of the line containing EF in slope-intercept form. Show your work to justify your answer. So first things first, with any of these types of problems, again, every time you see a word problem, I always suggest drawing it out. So they say you have a rectangle. So we're going to draw a rectangle. And the letters they gave us were E, F, G, and H. So in this problem, you have that EF is supposed to be perpendicular to FG. So perpendicular has to have a right angle. So that means that this angle right here is the angle we're looking at. So they gave us a point for EF. FG has the equation of 2x plus 6y equals 9. So what we're going to want to do first is find the original slope. So the slope for FG, the way we're going to find it is the opposite of A over B. So what we're going to have is -2. That came from here, so since it was positive, it turned negative. And B would be 6. So if I simplify this down, because it can, I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2, which would give me a -1/3. So that's the slope of the original one we got. When I write my equation, that's not the slope I want to use. So the slope I'm going to want to use is the perpendicular slope to it. So if this slope is -1/3, the perpendicular slope would be equal to, so we do opposite, so we change the sign, so it's going to now be positive, and we flip it, so we would have 3 over 1, which is just 3, because anything over 1 is the number up top. So that is the number I'm going to use when I do this equation. So they want us in slope-intercept form, but they gave us a point. So what I'm going to do is use the equation, the point-slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 . So now I'm just going to change the x1, y1. So this would be x1, this would be y1. So y minus a -4 equals 3, because that's the perpendicular slope that we want, and then x minus 0. So when it has minus and negative, we want to change the signs. So really on this side we have y plus 4. And on the right side we're going to try to distribute it into both. So you have y plus 4 on this side equals 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 0 is 0, so I'm just going to keep it as plus 0. Again, you do not have to write the 0 though, if you did not want to. Now I want it in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is the y equals mx plus b. So y has to be by itself. So I am going to now subtract 4 from both sides. And when I do that, it'll cancel out over here. And now you have y equals 3x minus 4. So the equation that would be perpendicular with that point that was given to us would be y equals 3x minus 4, because they wanted it in slope-intercept form. So the last problem we're going to do for this video is number 10 on page 30. It says write the equation of the line that contains P, which is at 0, 1, and is perpendicular to QR, with Q being at -6, -2, and R at 0, -6. Then graph the two lines. So if they are perpendicular, we know that the slopes have to be opposite and reciprocal. So first thing I'm going to do is find the slope for QR. So in order to find the slope for QR, we use the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to go ahead and make this my x1, y1, this one my x2, y2. Did not matter which one I chose for each, but that's just what I happen to do. So in this case, y2 would be -6 minus y1, which would be -2, over 0 minus a -6. So if you notice on both the top and the bottom, I have minus and negative. So what happens is we change the signs. So -6 plus 2 is equal to -4, and 0 plus 6 is 6. Now this can be simplified down, and the way I'm going to do that is by dividing the top and the bottom by 2. And when I do that, I get -2 over 3. So the original slope for QR is the -2 over 3. So this is the original slope. If I want it to be perpendicular, I need to do the opposite and reciprocal. So in order to do that, opposite means we change the sign. So it used to be negative. This one's going to be positive. And if I flip it, I get 3 over 2. So the slope that I'm going to use when I do my point slope form is going to be 3 over 2. So now let's go ahead and use the point slope form to figure out the equation. Now we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we're going to be using point P. So we're going to use point P, in case you didn't know, to make the new equation. So I'm going to have y minus 1 equals 3 over 2 times x minus x1, which is 0. So this is going to distribute, and I get y minus 1 equals 3 over 2x, and then 3 over 2 times 0 is 0, so I do not have to write it over there. Now I'm going to put it into slope-intercept form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And the 1 can't combine with this because it doesn't have a variable. So I have now y equals 3 over 2 x plus 1. So that would be my equation for this one. So when I did this problem, the last thing they wanted us to do was graph the two lines. So instead of me showing it to you, I figured I can just explain it. To find QR, I just plotted Q and R and drew a line connecting them. There was no point in me going through and doing the slope as long as I know where those points are. Now, for the other one, I plotted point P, which was at 0, 1, which also happened to be our y-intercept. And I plotted 2 points. I did one where I went with the slope of 3, 2, so up 3 to the right 2. And then I also did one where I did the opposite, so I went down 3 to the left 2 to help me create my line. And perpendicular lines do have to touch, so that's a good sign. And I drew this box here because if they are truly perpendicular, they do have to make a right angle. So that's why I drew the box in there as well. So that's the end of this video. Hopefully now you have a little bit more understanding that perpendicular means that you have to do the opposite and reciprocal to the slope. So in these word problems, what you did was you first found the original slope of the equation they gave you or the points they gave you, and then figured out what the slope that's perpendicular to it is. So once you've done that, then you're able to use the point slope form. So now that you hopefully have a better understanding, I want you to do some practice. The practice problems I want you to do is page 28, number 3, page 29, number 7, and page 30, number 9. So I hope you enjoy.